Shalom to all my brothers and sisters. In this video presentation, for those of you who are new to this video, I welcome you. I thank you so much for coming to this video. For those of you who are subscribed to my channel, again, I want to thank you all so much. Thank you so much for your support, for your friendships. I really appreciate every single one of you very much. You have no idea how much I appreciate every single one of you for tuning into my videos. You're very much appreciated and in my heart. Thank you so much. And shalom to everyone. I hope you enjoy this video. Now this video is going to be about the claim. Again, I mean this in deep respect. I don't mean that. Sometimes it's hard for me to express myself without maybe coming across harsh, but I mean this video with love and respect. And this is just another way of looking at things, because I do respect those who believe in the Noachide code, or those who may be Noachide who might slip and watch this movie, this presentation. What I mean to do is basically show an alternative presentation based on Torah and Torah alone that shows the Karaite point of view, that the Torah, as well as the Samaritan point of view, that the Torah was meant to be for the Israelites and the strangers as well, those who are serious about joining Israel. Now, again, I state in a lot of my videos, this doesn't mean that any Tom, Dick, or Harry, or anybody, Joe Schmo, can just pick up a Torah and say they're an Israelite, which we have many people who do that in cults. It's all over the place. Everybody thinks they're Torah observant. Everybody wants to be Israel. That's not how it works. Anyways, that being said, let's get back to the point. What does the Torah say clearly about the obligation if you decide to keep the covenant of Yehovah at the time when this Torah was given at Mount Sinai with Moshe and all of Israel? Let's see what the Torah says about the claim of a second-class citizen role, or Noachide. Is this in fact what the Torah teaches, or does the Torah teach no? The strangers as well as the Israelites are welcome to join the covenant and keep the mitzvot if they are serious, and if they live among the Israelites, live among the communities. Remember, we have to go back over 3,000 years ago. We got to get rid of our 21st century mind. I always say this, you have to get rid of your 21st century brain when you're reading the Hebrew scriptures. Okay, let's begin. Let's let the Torah speak. Exodus chapter 12, verse 49. The same Torah is for the natural, meaning the Israelite, and for the stranger who lives among you. Numbers chapter 15, verse 16 says the same Torah shall be for you and for the stranger who lives among you. Leviticus chapter 1, verse 22, the same Torah, for you, so too will be for the stranger and for the native. For I am Yehovah your Elohim, meaning I have spoken. I am Yehovah. That's what I say. Period. Numbers chapter 15, verse 15. One ordinance shall be for you of the congregation and for the stranger that lives among you. A perpetual statute throughout your generations, as you are, or so you are, so too shall the stranger be to Yehovah. There is no second-class citizen. There's an equality. Now again, this is only for those who are serious about joining the true covenant of Israel. And it has nothing to do with the state of Israel or documentations from the corrupt state of Israel. It has to do with following the Torah in truth, the words of Elohim. Numbers chapter 9, verse 14. And when a pilgrimage stranger among you, they shall keep the Passover, the Pesach, to Yehovah, according to the statute of the Pesach and according to his right. It is his right to keep it. This is not the words of me. I'm not teaching you something new. These are the words of Yehovah as he states in the Torah himself. He said, this is my word. I'm saying this. So what I'm saying to you as a viewer who doubts himself or doubts the message that I'm trying to proclaim in this video, don't worry about what I have to say. It doesn't matter what I have to say. It doesn't matter what other Karaites say about this video or anybody else. The point that I'm trying to make is we have to trust the words of Elohim, Yehovah. Now, it's not saying that you can't be guided by teachers. I'm not saying that. So understand, the words of Elohim come before all other doctrines or creeds. We must follow the words of Elohim. And if something contradicts this, the words of our Creator, we must reject it as the words of men. Leviticus chapter 16, verse 29. This shall be a statute forever. In the 7th month, the 10th of the month, you shall afflict your souls, and you shall not do any work. You, nor the natural, nor the stranger who lives among you. Again and again. Numbers chapter 15, verse 14. When also you live with the stranger that is in the midst of you throughout your generations, you will present a burnt offering of sweet fragrance to Yehovah. As you do, so shall they, the strangers, will bring a sacrifice. Yehovah is not telling you that the Israelites come up here, the strangers are down here. You can get the breadcrumbs. No, it's equal. Down the line, equality. There is no second-class citizens. But again, I'm going to be beating a dead horse over and over because some people say, well, maybe that's your point of view. Maybe it's a couple passages that you're not understanding. I'm going to go over and over and over. I want this message to be clear. Clear and consistent. Here we go. What about sacrifices? Let's go with it. Leviticus chapter 7, verse 7. As the sin offering, so also the trespass offering. The same Torah is also for them as well as for you, the strangers as well. Leviticus chapter 18, verse 26. You shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall do all of these, not do all of these abominations. Neither the natural nor the stranger who lives among you. Meaning all the things that I commanded not to do, it's not only the Israelites' responsibility, it's their responsibility as well. What about justice? Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 16. At the same time, I charge your judges, saying, hear the causes between your brethren, and judge righteously between every man and his brother, and the stranger that is with him. So the judges were to judge not only the Israelites, but the strangers among them who joined themselves to Israel. Again, equality. Yehovah is saying, no. Over and over. If this was not a serious point to Yehovah, he wouldn't say it over and over. But he's saying it over and over. And I'm going to read over and over the same message. Let's keep going. Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 17, the next verse. Do not wrest the judgment of the stranger and the fatherless, nor take in pledge a widow's clothing. It's saying don't dishonor, don't mistreat the stranger at all. Don't think you're going to take advantage of the stranger, as well as the widow and the orphan, which we know about is mentioned in the Torah. This also includes the stranger. You're not to mistreat any of them. So if you're treating them like they are second-class citizens, I'm sorry to tell you. If you think that there is a second-class citizen or the Noachides, even though you say they still have a part in the world to come, they are still beneath you in a sense where they're not getting the benefits of keeping the Shabbat. They're not keeping the Pesach. No, they're keeping the 7 Noachide laws. But is that the words of Elohim? No, it's not. That's not the words of Elohim. Let's keep going. What about the penalties? Are they the same? Is it only for Israel, or are the penalties also in order of Israelites and strangers. Let's see. Numbers chapter 15, verse 30. But the person who does anything presumptuously, whether natural, meaning Israelites, or strangers to Yehovah, that person shall be cut off from among, what are the last words? His or her people. I'm going to read that again, just in case it was missed. It's very important. But the person who does anything presumptuously, meaning accidental sins, presumptuously, whether natural or strangers to Yehovah, that person shall be cut off from among his people or her people. Do you see what I'm saying here? Do you see what I'm reading here? This is the words of Elohim. This is so delicious. He is saying, it's the same. It's the same. There is no difference. There is no second-class citizen. I don't care what you're told. It's not true. You must believe the words of Elohim, not the words of men. It's time to wake up. I mean for the newcomers, those who want to struggle and fight about this and argue with me and say, no, you're not correct. Well, you need to argue with Elohim himself, because these are the words of Elohim. These are not my inventions. I did not put these passages in the Torah. This is the words of Elohim. So if you have a problem with this message, then you have a problem with the words of Elohim. I can't help you there. Let's keep going. Numbers chapter 19, verse 10. And those who take the ashes of the heifer shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. It shall be a statute forever to the children of Israel and the stranger who lives among them. Leviticus chapter 2, verse 16. Whoever blasphemes the name of Yehovah shall surely die. All the congregation shall certainly stone him. So the stranger as well as the natural. Blaspheming the name of Yehovah, they were to be killed, both stranger and natural. They were both held, again, with the same responsibilities, the same warnings. Now again, blaspheming the name is misusing it. It doesn't mean pronouncing the name, as many are taught. It does not mean that. But that's a whole other subject, and I have a video on this if you'd like to watch it on my channel. What about Shabbat? Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 14. But the seventh day is a Shabbat to Yehovah your Elohim. You shall not do any work on it. You, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor thy ox, your ass, or any of your cattle, nor the stranger that is within your doors or among you. Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 14. And in your feast you shall rejoice, you and your son and your daughter and your manservant and your maidservant and the Levite and the stranger and the fatherless and the widow that are within your gates. This is speaking about Sukkot, the festival of Sukkot. Everyone was to celebrate and participate. There was nobody standing outside or setting themselves apart because they weren't able to keep it. Again, no. Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 11. When all of Israel comes to appear before Yehovah your Elohim in the place which he shall choose, you shall read this Torah before all Israel in their ears. All of them. All the people. And it even mentions there the men, the women, and the children, and the strangers, to hear the Torah being read. Now, in Orthodox Judaism, it is taught that A Jewish person is not allowed to teach Torah to a non-Jew. It's not allowed. Is that what the Torah teaches? Again, no, it's not. What about the foreigners or the strangers attending the festival of unleavened bread? Can they eat the bread? Exodus chapter 12, verse 19. 7 days there shall be no leaven found in your houses, for whoever eats leavened bread, that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel. So too the stranger as well as the natural. Cut off whoever eats leavened bread. Again, equality across the board. What about participating in the sacrifice of Pesach? Exodus chapter 12, verse 43. And he said to Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance, the Easter ordinance. No child stranger shall eat it. But notice how that the solution of the problem comes soon to follow. Now listen carefully. But if the stranger that stays with you will keep the Passover, the stranger that does stay with you, shall keep the festival, the Passover to Yehovah. So it means ones who are not within your community, who doesn't want part of the covenant, will not eat of it. But those who are within your gates, within you, shall participate. The stranger. Now it doesn't mean converts. It means a stranger. Because if they were really converting to real Israel, it would say people that are almost Israelites as well. It doesn't say that. It says the stranger. The stranger. Ger. Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 2. Do not, again, this is the point of what a Karaite is. Do not add to the words which I command you, nor take away from it, that you may keep the commandments of Yehovah, your Elohim, which I command you. Period. Again, these are not my words. These are words of Elohim. Now, there are many more verses. But do I really need to quote every single passage? Do I got to really keep drilling it in over and over and over? Maybe. But if you're rational, the message should be clear by this point. So again, we must come back to the true following of the Torah according to the words of our Creator. Period. Shalom.